At 365 member schools, SAIS is by far the largest regional independent school association in the country. Representing 14 U.S. states and 4 countries, boarding and day schools, faith-based and secular schools, specific pedagogies, and schools of the future, the SAIS tent is filled with a diverse community of approaches to education. Collectively, we employ approximately 20,000 dedicated individuals, serve over 200,000 students, and have an economic impact in our communities in excess of $3.5 billion. But what continues to unite us is our commitment to our missions and to our students and to our communities. Interest in the services and network of SAIS continues to remain at high levels, and engagement in virtual and face-to-face, synchronous and asynchronous professional development opportunities continues to thrive. We have a significant following in social media, please tweet, and a tremendous readership of our publications, the newest of which is our booklet on balance, which brings the series to 4, including the previously released booklets on leadership, succession, and collaboration. Last year, SAIS conducted 67 accreditation visits, of which 13 were initial visits. 335 individuals gave nearly 9,000 hours of their time serving as team members and chairs of visits. And on behalf of the SAIS Accreditation Committee, I'd like to congratulate the 67 schools that have successfully become accredited or re-accredited, and I'd like to thank all the volunteers who participated in this process. I'd also like to recognize the remarkable work that took place over the summer. SAIS hosted the second Accreditation Summit, which gathered together a group of individuals to engage in a design thinking process to identify issues and create solutions. We're all beneficiaries of the thoughtful work from this group, which resulted in several revisions and a deeper understanding of how to continue to improve. Thank you for your work on that committee, and a special thanks to Mary Cantwell, formerly from Mount Vernon Presbyterian School, and to Jill Goff from Trinity, Atlanta, for the crash course they gave to staff members and to me on how to lead a design thinking summit. As we continue to develop offerings, it's with the idea that just as schools must serve the needs of students, the association must continue to serve the needs of schools. To serve your needs, we've initiated collaborative partnerships with 15 accrediting agencies or associations and offer a variety of several specific endorsements that are available to you. Thank you all for your commitment and service, and when you're asked to serve on a team, please say yes. Barbara?
Thank you, Damien. Next, Dennis Manning, head of Norfolk Academy and chair of the Finance Committee, will give the finance report. And please listen for a special announcement somewhere in his report.
I know treasurer's reports are always so scintillating. Barbara, thank you. I should start by saying Lori surprised us, I think, this year. Maybe it was your handiwork, Barbara. I was thinking about, in the past we partnered with Ms. Bowe, and then this year I think we used some of, if we had any operating surplus, I think we decided to partner with our senior friends, the Red Hat Society. Did you notice that? Well done. Damien, thank you. Pleased to report that the financial position of the organization is very healthy, very strong, as you heard from Damien through his report as well. I think all of it reflecting very, very good institutional health. The board engaged an investment consultant this year, just 2 or 3 quick updates, and developing plans to use whatever additional resource we have, and most important, to position it as new offerings and programmatic initiatives emerge through the current strategic planning exercise. So we're well positioned for continuing growth. And the final point, 2 years ago, the board decided to shift a fiscal year from a July 1, June 30th calendar to a January 1, December 31 fiscal calendar year because the operating contours, revenue expense timeline better fit that conventional calendar. So we completed the first official audit under that new calendar for fiscal year 2014. It was a clean and unqualified audit. That's a good report and news. And so the finances of the organization in sum are stable and sound. Thank you, Ms. Dausch. The floor is yours again.
From the Committee on Trustees, I would like to introduce the slate of proposed trustees for a 3-year term of service beginning January 1st, 2016, and I will ask them each to stand up as I call their name. Josh Clark from Bodine School in Memphis, Tennessee, and Cliff Kling from Jackson Academy in Jackson, Mississippi. Thank you to both of you, and you may be seated. And if you have looked at the program, you will notice that Cliff's picture is not Cliff. It's actually Fred. And I don't know where Fred is, but apparently there was some mistake. But anyway, Cliff is the person that we would like to ask to be on our trustee slate. So I would love to entertain a motion to approve Josh and Cliff to the Board of Trustees. Motion here, Marvin, and a second. Thank you, Mark. And all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Sorry, you guys are stuck. And I'd also like to announce the new officers who will begin 2-year terms of service on January 1st, 2016. Would you please stand when I call your names? Dennis Manning will be chair. Past chair will be Barbara Dosh. I'm already standing. Vice chair, Byron Halsey. Treasurer, Mark Hale. And Secretary, Darren Piscavage. Thank you, officers, for agreeing to serve on the association. Please let us thank them for their service. As we conclude our business meeting and prepare to hear the President's address, I think it is important to reflect upon the transition that our organization experienced in the past year. Last year at the annual meeting, I had the honor of introducing then-President Dr. Steve Robinson for his last address to the association. Steve and his wife Rhonda were here last night. I understand that they'll be back tomorrow. I announced to you at the time also the formation of a search committee. That committee was charged with conducting a national search for a new president. Thanks to the dedication of that search committee and on the national level, we were able to announce last spring the appointment of Dr. Kirk Walker as the new president. Will the members of the search committee please stand and be recognized for their time and their talent? Please stand up. I am pleased to explain to you, too, that the transition from Steve to Kirk did not resemble in any way the ending of the Michigan State game last night. There were no bad snaps, there wasn't a bad handoff or a surprise last-second ending. We are poised for a wonderful, new, vibrant chapter in our development as a robust organization. It is my pleasure now to honor and to recognize our new president for the first time at his annual meeting, Dr. Kirk Walker.
I appreciate all the work that everyone has done prior to it. It's been a busy year prior to my arrival at SAIS, and so I thought it'd be nice to take a few moments to review that. busy and successful year. And as we look to the next year, in large measure, these activities and programs will continue. But as you know, it is critically important for schools and associations to be looking toward the future to explore better ways to serve their constituents. For SAIS, it is about finding ways to help you strengthen your school, and in doing so, elevate the experience for every child you serve. This past summer, the SAIS trustees, with the assistance of Ian Simmons, began a strategic planning process. Their intent is to develop a 5-year roadmap for the association. As part of that process, they wanted to get your reaction to several of the key areas under consideration. Our thanks to so many of you for completing the survey and offering your thoughts. They were very helpful, and many of those suggestions are being incorporated into the plan. Several key themes emerged from the board's work and your input. The first, and perhaps foremost, was the strongly expressed need for more governance training for trustees. Now, I am sure that you were merely speaking on behalf of independent schools in general and not implying in any way that your own board was in need of such training. So I want to thank you for thinking of others. While SAIS has already does a fair amount of board training and governance workshops that several of you have requested, we will be developing delivery systems that will hopefully allow you to offer or perhaps even require the training for each of your trustees. Second, while there were some differences between size of school and size of budget, many of you said that you would appreciate consulting help in developing your school improvement plans. Some of you would like help in specific areas like advancement, marketing, financial planning, etc. And some of you said you'd just like to have a fresh set of eyes, spend a little time in your school. With your help, we will begin to develop a clearinghouse of talented individuals from our member schools who could offer advice to another member school. Our expectation is that the receiving school would provide an honorarium and that all time commitments would need to be approved by the sending school on a case-by-case basis. Through such a system, we see opportunities for your schools to benefit from the expertise of colleagues and for those colleagues to benefit from the chance to share their skills. Third, many of you recognize the need for more leadership training. For some, it was a request for personal training so that you can be better at developing leaders in your own school. For some of you, it was a request for third-party training for mid-level administrators, deans, division heads, department chairs, and development and admissions officers. And for some, it was just an expressed general concern about the small number of individuals who are either interested in being or are ready to be heads of school. In response, we will be initiating the Institute for Emerging Leaders, as you heard earlier, which will target mid-level administrators and potentially master teachers. In addition, and with your help, we will be developing a list of skills and abilities that heads will need in order to be successful in the future. We'll then use that list to evaluate and coordinate our other leadership workshops with the potential result of creating a leadership certificate, possibly in conjunction with the university. Fourth, we appreciate your strong interest in being provided with current information about state, regional, and national public policy trends, as well as new educational trends, and we will endeavor to increase the flow of information. We also appreciate your interest in participating in forums on selected educational issues, much like some past forums we have done on financial sustainability and our lunch forums on brain research and flipped classrooms. In all of these strategic initiatives, we will be mindful of the costs, and as we increase the available options, we will also be exploring the viability of offering some of those options through webinars and other online models. As in the past, we want to continue to be a value leader for independent schools, and as the initiatives develop, we will continue to rely on your input and your suggestions. Having said that, I'd like to also share a few closing and somewhat personal thoughts. While I am not new to SAIS, I am new to the SAIS office. For over 30 years as a head of school, I had always appreciated the service that I received from the association and the camaraderie that it provided. As you well know, a head of school's work can be quite solitary. If not literally, you are nevertheless often alone in a crowded room when a final decision must be made. For me, SAIS provided a sense of community, a sense that my challenges were not as unique as I might have imagined or feared, and that there were other heads of school who were willing and could share their perspective on how they had faced a similar situation. For over 30 years, I was on the outside of SAIS looking in. Now I'm on the inside looking out, a different view. Though my tenure has been short, my work over the past few months has already provided me with two important insights. First insight, the SAIS staff is even more talented and more devoted to the mission than I had previously perceived, and my previous perception was extremely positive. They are truly service-oriented and focused on helping your schools be successful, and I now have the great pleasure to work closely with them. My special thanks, of course, go to Lori for another impressive year of great workshops and a great annual conference, and to Damien for his exceptional work with accreditation and membership. I am sure that they would agree that it still requires a team effort, and we do have a great team. Leanne, Joanne, Julia, Anna, Carol, and Christina. Please show your appreciation to all of them. The second insight involves you. Freed from the daily constraints of running a school, I am free to visit your schools. While it may take me a while to get to all of you, I've already had the chance to visit a wide range of schools, from one with 60 students to several with over 1,000 students. Different size campuses, different size budgets, etc., and certainly different missions. The variety of the schools represented in this room is amazing, but what is equally amazing is what all of you have in common: a heart for service, a deep commitment to your students, a belief that learning should be joyful and life-changing, and the mantra that good enough is not good enough, that all of us not only can but have an obligation to improve. You believe in your students, and they know it, and the feelings of belonging, respect, and validation that you generate so well and so naturally in your students stand in vivid contrast to the feelings of loneliness, disengagement, and despair common to the perpetrators of recent violent events and to hundreds of other youths who are seeking to fill a similar void. Every life that you touch is an embrace. Every student you inspire makes the world better. How valuable that is on so many levels, and how fortunate we are to be in the business of building positive futures. But there's another way that your work can and does help to build a positive future, and I would be remiss in not mentioning it. This summer, in the aftermath of the terrible event in my hometown of Chattanooga, I saw the anguish and destruction that can be wrought by those who have embraced extremism to fill a void in their lives. At that time, I saw a great outpouring of love in response to the event, but I also saw how quickly people seized the situation and the facts for their own political agendas. I asked myself then, and sadly asked myself again in the wake of the Oregon violence, what should be the response of educators in such an emotionally charged climate? What could we do or say that might serve as an antidote to the power of extremism and its potential impact on the young. As I mentioned before, building relationships with your students is clearly a critical response. But there is a second response which may be equally important and which you also do so well. The Italian Primo Levi, a survivor of Auschwitz, once said, "Monsters exist, but there are too few in numbers to be truly dangerous. More dangerous are those individuals ready to believe and act without asking questions." Each time you encourage your students to ask hard questions, to be uncomfortable with easy answers, to be aware that there are multiple viewpoints, and to search for truth, you are empowering them with the tools to navigate an increasingly complicated world and challenging them to seek new solutions rather than the comfort of complacency. As it always has been, education of the mind and the heart remains our best defense against ignorance and despair and the fear, hatred, and violence that they breed. You do very important work. As I look around this room, I feel a deep sense of optimism. Collectively, there is so much talent assembled here, so much energy, and so great a spirit. It is hard, standing from this podium, looking at you, to imagine a challenge that we cannot face together. Even in our independence, we are a great family. Thank you for being part of it.